Hello, my name is Alex. Today we will be looking at other types of loops. In this case, we will look at the while loop, the do while, and the do until. We will start off with the while loop, which is currently deprecated, but has been kept inside Visual Basic due to compatibility reasons. You can still use it, there is no issue, but there is a substitute to the while loop, which is the do while, which basically does exactly the same and has an additional functionality. The while loop works the following way. Imagine we have a variable, like for example my bar, and we set it to 0. And now we say Visual Basic, we want to perform an action until a condition is met, very similar to the for loop. So we will say while my bar is smaller than 10, w_end, and whatever is inside here, Visual Basic will repeat it. What's the difference between the while loop and the for loop? Well, first of all, the while loop, as you might have seen, you technically are comparing a variable which can be changed each step. That means that the for loop is normally used when the final condition is static, to say, and the while loop is a condition that can be variant and can change during the loop. You have to take into account that for the while loop, you have to be aware, since it doesn't automatically increase the variable or decrease it. You have to do it inside the loop. So you will say my bar equals to my bar plus 1. If you don't do this, you will enter in an infinite loop, and Visual Basic will basically stack and it won't be able to continue the code. So this is very important to do whenever using one of these type of loops. So if we now do a debug.print of my bar, and we now click the run button, you can see that it does all this while this condition is true. So while the variable my bar is smaller than 10, it will perform all this. And as you can see, here is the result. Okay, so now let's go on and do the do while loop, the first one. So in this case, we do while, and we just change this to loop. And if we now click the run button, as you can see, it does exactly the same as I told you before. The only difference is that here you have an additional functionality very similar to the for loop. In this case, it's called exit do. What this does, if you reach this statement, it will end prematurely the while loop. So, for example, you can check if my bar is greater than 5, then exit the do. Oops, sorry, this is end if. And if. And now if we run this, as you can see, here is the result. Okay, so going back to this, now we have the other type, that is a do loop while. So it's basically changing this part to the here. And if we execute this, you will see that in this scenario, it technically does the same. And what is the difference with this one and this one? Well, basically is when the condition is checked. So in our first case, where we have the while here, what the code will do is we'll execute these lines, and when it reaches this part, it will check this condition. So if, for example, imagine that when we try to do this do while and suddenly the statement is already met, well, this won't execute at all. But if we have the while statement here, you are making sure that at least this code is run once. That's the only difference between these two types of do while loops. Finally, we have the do until loops. So this is basically the same as the do while loop, being the only difference that when using until, you are doing the exact opposite operation that with the while. So in the do while, we were checking if, okay, I have the variable my bar, and if I have a while here, it will do, is my bar smaller than 10? Yes? Okay, I will do this. But if you do until, what the code is checking is like, okay, is my bar smaller than 10? Oh yeah? Okay, I met the condition already. I don't have to do this. So actually, if you try to execute this, you see, nothing happens. Because we are already meeting this condition, so it doesn't do anything. And as I explained you in the previous case, if you put it here, the code will at least run once, whatever is inside the do loop. So yeah, as you can see, it's 0. And the loop until, for example, we can change it to be greater than 8. And if we execute this, you see, it reaches up to 8, and it doesn't do anything else because the next condition will be 9. And well, also like in the do while loop, in the until loop, you can use the exit do condition as well. So that's another additional functionality that you have compared to the while end, this first one. And that's all the things that you need to know of the while loops and the do while and do until. And yeah, that's it. Very simple.